Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Family, how are you? This is Preacher Moss, the SOS. I hope everything's going well. That's right, the SOS, the shout out show. Hope you're having a great day. Today, we're going to be getting to some aspects of quality of life, politics, and how it affects our quality of life. I'm going to say right up front, I kind of overlooked this thing. We focus so much on white supremacy, social justice. We're talking about all these other issues. And I have noticeably and admittedly been bereft of talking about quality of life issues. So today we're going to be talking about the aspect of minority home ownership. A lot of things happened in the preceding administration with President Trump 45. And a lot of things we dropped because there was an immediacy and a sense of urgency addressing all these other things, voting rights and stuff like that. And what is interesting is that a lot of times when the dust settles, if you know what I'm saying, when the dust settles and the panic abates, a lot of times we realize that things have been passed, laws have been passed, bills have been passed, uh, sometimes good laws, sometimes bad laws. You know, we talk about discretionary spending has been passed. We also talk about predatory loans that have been passed. We have all of these things. And what has happened, brothers and sisters, I've talked a lot about minority owned businesses and the like, and what that lifeline is. One of the things I haven't spent enough time talking about is the importance of minority home ownership. Now, I caught a break because my brother sent me a clip. JT, he might be on the show here in a minute. JT sent me a clip that I thought was a powerful clip, and I will lead with this when we come back from the break. But he sent a powerful clip of Senator Elizabeth Warren talking about the HAMDA Act. Now, the HAMDA is a Home Mortgage Disclosure Act, which really is a barometer. It tells you how loans are being dispersed, how people are getting loans, are not getting loans, the amount of minorities that are getting houses, who are being rejected for loans. It really gives you a DNA and a very micro level understanding of how people are not being able to move into the process and the strata of owning homes. Now, of course, some people do. But it shows over time that this thing is very discriminatory. And we talk about, police brutality and things like that. Imagine the fact that you are not allowed a part of the American dream. When I say part of American dream, I'm talking about the aspect of home ownership that leads us into generational wealth, that leads us to aspects of having assets. If we're just talking about a home, we're talking about having an asset. It's one thing to rent a home or rent an apartment, but it's a different thing to own the place that you live. I talk all the time as an artist about owning your masters. In the artist business, we talk about owning our masters, which is we own our creative expression, if you will. I think it's doubly important that you own the creative expression of where you live. Let me explain. It's not just where you live, it's where you settle down to expand on your core values, to develop community as part of a community or a separate community or just your family community. And a lot of times people are not allowed to do that. And it moves to the space. And I'm not going to, I don't be too general, but I talked about this. One of the most dangerous things in minority communities, brothers and sisters, I'm talking about Black, Native American, da da da. Look at the absolute damage that happens when minority populations don't have mobility. We talk about Black people in ghettos. Think about this. Think about Native Americans on reservations. They are not allowed, brothers and sisters, to really be tough because their relationship with America and America's oppression is that they signed treaties which were garbage. And in those treaties, they were put on pieces of land that had absolutely no opportunity for growth, no opportunity for profiteer. They were put on land that was absolutely useless. If you really want to know about Black Wall Street flourishes because Black people were put on Indian lands that Indians have been removed from. We were used to being on land that absolutely had no use. And we found something. Native Americans didn't have that benefit. They should have, but they didn't have that benefit. And being handicapped, meaning you're not able to move, brothers and sisters. When I say move, I mean really, really on multiple levels, be able to stake your place someplace. It is dangerous. It's evil. It is oppression. It is un-American, and it's un-Islamic, and it's just unchristian. It's just inhuman. We're going to talk about it. Let's get this show started. Talking about minority home ownership. Preacher Moss, this is the SOS. All right, everybody, we're back. I hope you're doing well. Listen, let me shout out anybody that's coming on the show for the first time. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for spending your time here with myself and the SOS family, the SOS soldiers. We appreciate you. We hope that this topic, as well as the other topics that we get into, if you like to go back to some of the other shows, feel free. But we hope that this topic is going to have some weight for you, and it's going to have some merit, and it bears out you spending your time. Just so you know, we do not do an hour show. We don't do a 45-minute show. We try to do a half-hour show because I want to respect your time. But more importantly, the information needs to be developed in a way where we give it to you and you have more time thinking about it than us talking to you about it. And this is one of those shows. Okay. So thank you so much. If you want to say something, you have something you want to express, jump into the comment section, get what's called the shout out. And I'm going to give some shout outs as I do at the beginning of the show. And then we're going to get back into our main topic. Okay. So without further ado, let's jump into our shout out family, our stars in the building. First up, of course, we got Sister Ree. How you doing, Sister Ree? Peace and blessings to Sister Ree. Husband Derek is his birthday today. We're going to give him a shout out and best wishes on the new job, brother. We hope everything is going well for you. Glad to hear everybody's doing all right around the corner. All right. That's number one. Number two, my main man, Altaf Rashid. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my brother. This is something that probably is applicable to what's going on going on up in Toronto. Toronto, great city, but man, it's hard to buy a house here because the housing prices are extremely high. So you may be able to shed some light on it. As of course, as our Canadian ambassador to the show, you know what's going on with Canadian housing. Make sure you jump in and share with us. Next up, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Aika, who is all the way out in Indonesia, joining us for the show today. We appreciate you blessing us with your presence. We hope you're doing well and your family is doing well. Thank you so much. We want to hear some recipes about that catering business. You've been slacking on us. We want to hear some of those recipes or give us some pictures. We're going to show them on the show. Read you too. You're due for some foodie section. All right. Next up, Macy Hustle. Well, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm fitting to speak that truth. Yes, I'm going to speak that truth, sister. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your vibe. Not just sharing your vibe, sharing your light. All right. So I hope some of this makes sense to you. I have a good feeling that you know exactly where I'm going to go with this. So buckle up. Next up, what's going on, little sister? How you doing? Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I responded to your email. Let me know what's going on for next month with your performance, and let's hype it up on the show. Sister Jamisa is an aspiring fashion designer, super mom, and she's a rapper. So she has an event that's going on. We want to make sure that we want to support our sister in her endeavor. Okay? All right, sister. My main man, Adam Khan. Adam Khan, like Shaka Khan. I'm just kidding. Adam, good to see you on the show, man. We hope everything is going well in your household, man. I hope you had a good Eid. Make sure that you give a full and hearty salams to your family, man. Let them know I'm thinking of them and I have them in my duas. My brother. Glad to see you on the show. Next up, okay, do we miss somebody? We got Sister Sakina Mujahid, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Out of Charlotte, we hope you're doing well. I know this topic applies to you, so I hope you get in and hopefully this makes some sense, man. But like I said, I feel a bit amiss because I've seen this and I just haven't talked about it. And the gentleman I'm going to bring up next, our next star in the building, my little brother Johnny L. Thomas, sent me this video, and normally, we share information all the time. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, little brother. I am actually going to share the video that you sent me a couple days ago. Apologies, because I don't check the Facebook like I should. I admit that. But I found the video so compelling. It's like, I really have to talk about this. Because we claim on the show that we want to make sure that we keep people aware of things that are going on in the community, right? We claim that we want to be in some form of fashion, and we want to make sure that we dispense good information that allows people to make great decisions, to increase themselves and their families, to do good things. But I've missed a lot of this, and I admittedly, in some regards, got distracted because I wasn't talking about um, minority home ownership. My nephews, JT's sons, they recently just bought their first house in Milwaukee. And as I listened to my brother talk about getting the house prepared, all those type of things that happen when you buy a house, I was very happy and very, very inspired. Of course, they're young. They're still, my nephew Justin is still in his 20s, raised in his 30s, but they've made the move towards home ownership. What I didn't do, brothers and sisters, admittedly, was look at the other side of it. And when I look at the other side of it, and you pull the sheets back, you realize that there's a plethora of people who are not part of that process of getting into the housing market, getting into home ownership. Now, there's a lot of reasons, brothers and sisters, why we argue and fuss about voting rights and recounts and things like that. This was a classy dipsy do because you had, brothers and sisters, politicians who emphasized and signed off on legislation that made it, I won't say irreparably, the damage wasn't irreparable, but it made it extremely difficult for minorities to get into the housing business. Now, why is it important that Black people get into the housing business? Because you have to own where you live. Philosophically, you never own the land, but you do own the house that you put on top of it. And the house that you put on top of it, brothers and sisters, it actually adds to the value of the land. If you take a house off a piece of property, you're paying for potential of what you could put on it. But it also gives a very, very clear and concise understanding that there's an investment that has been made. And there's a different walk and talk when you own something and you rent something. Case in point, when you rent a car, if you buy the insurance, you'll park that car in the middle of a railroad track and walk away. You don't care if the car gets hit because it has insurance. But when you own the car and you pay insurance on the car and you realize that the relationship is beyond this rental period that you've signed on for 60 months to 72 months, the relationship between you and the car is different because you care for it. So let's flip forward here, if you will. Home ownership is generational wealth. The ability to have an asset that you can pass along has been the backbone of white America and white home ownership for years. Blacks have been systematically denied the ability to buy homes even when they had the money. Even when they had the money. One of my favorite films is Raising in the Sun. And there's a scene where Sidney Poitier goes to this white neighborhood. His mother saved up enough money to buy this house. And the white neighbor comes and says, "We don't want you to move here. There'll be problems. We'll pay you to not live here." That's the thing. So we'll pay you, and they paid him over what the house was worth. And Sidney Poitier and his family, a very proud family, and say, "No, we're going to live here." My point, brothers and sisters, is that if you want better for yourself and your family, home ownership is one of the ways that you do it. Access to better schools, access to better neighborhoods, access to better business opportunities. You know, no knock on the hood. I love the hood. I love the neighborhood. You know, I love my brothers and sisters. But just yesterday, I did a situation scenario. I did an assessment, a site visit for an urgent care center. And I broke down the urgent care center. And one of the things I said about the urgent care center, I looked around logistically and I said, there's a lot of mom and pop stores, but there's no grocery store. There's no anchor grocery store like a Kohl's or a Safeway or a Giant or anything like that, or Walmart. And there was none of that. I said, there's a lot of liquor stores and there's a lot of cantinas that sell. You can have soul food or Mexican food. A lot of it is not great diet. I said, and there's no hospitals. You know, you move, brothers and sisters, to a place that you believe is going to help you access the best in you. And accessing the best in you allows that you can leave that type of legacy, not just the house. You can leave that type of legacy. Neighborhoods change, but leaving that type of legacy to your family is a big deal. Not in terms of just living there, but providing the inspiration to want to do better. Okay? To want to do better. We got some people up. Did you call it the Facebook way to age? That's funny. Well, American Horror Story, how we made this far. Okay, Michael Myers ain't got nothing on the Homeowners Association East Compton. you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to show this video. All right. I want you to pay attention to what she says. So a couple things. HAMDA means home mortgage. Oh my gosh. Why do I forget this? Disclosure Act. HAMDA stands for Home Mortgage Disclosure Act. ECOA is the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. They won't talk about it in this clip, but you see where they balance out. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act means that at the beginning they say you cannot discriminate on people for credit, though they do. Then on the other side, the aspect is that we are now going to police who got the loans, who didn't get the loans, the reason they got them, the reason they didn't get them. This is a very bold statement. I want you to watch it. We're going to watch watch maybe like 3 minutes of it. And what it amounts to, brothers, is it's a horror show. What it amounts to is that it's a horror show. And we don't really realize that it's a horror show. Here we go.
Social Security to fund other vendors. It was the official policy of the United States government until 1968. In my lifetime and the lifetime of 90 senators who serve today, the official policy of this government was to help white people buy homes and to deny that help to black people. And because the federal government had set the standard, private lenders enthusiastically followed in Washington's lead. Homes are the way that millions of working families build some economic security. They pay down a mortgage and own an asset that, over time, often appreciates. A home serves as security to fund other ventures, to start a small business, or to send a youngster to college. And if grandma and grandpa can hang on to the home and get it paid off, they can often pass along an asset that boosts the finances of the next generation and the one after that. And that's exactly what white people have done for generations, but not black people. Systematically, over many decades, government policies that encouraged mortgage companies to lend only to white borrowers cut the legs out from underneath minority families trying to build some family wealth. And the result has been exactly what you'd predict. It's contributed to a staggering gap of wealth between white communities and communities of color today. Here's one statistic from Massachusetts. According to the Boston Globe, the median net worth of white families living in Boston is $247,500. And the median net worth for a black family is $8. That's something that all Americans, regardless of race, should be ashamed of. When I was traveling around the country in the aftermath of the financial crisis, it became clear to me that the crash had made the problem worse. Subprime lenders who had peddled mortgages full of tricks and traps had specifically targeted minority borrowers. That meant that during the Great Recession, a huge number of minority borrowers lost their homes. And when rising home prices helped white Americans regain some financial security, communities of color with their lower homeownership rates and their higher foreclosure rates were often left behind. Again, just one example. According to Pew, between 2010 and 2013, the median wealth of white households grew by 2.4%, but the wealth of Hispanic households in that same time fell by 14.3%. And the wealth of African American households fell by 33.7%.
Those are the numbers. Those are the numbers. They're quite shocking. And when I say they're quite shocking, because while we're listening to it, you have a generation of young adults that are going through it right now, and the generation after them have absolutely no idea the crime that's occurred already. What I mean is, when you place that type of toxicity in something that's supposed to be meant as a process to lift yourselves up, brothers and sisters, the mobility is not there. The mobility is not there. Let me tell you how devastating this thing is. Dig this. The inability of African Americans and Latinos to move into suburban homes over a period of time, you know what that is? That's almost, outside of it being criminal, they cannot affect voting in suburban areas. So it's not only I can't live there, I can't live in a better space whereby I can vote and change all of this. We talk about voting rights. Voting rights is attached, of course, to home ownership, your ability to live in a place. Right now, we're in a space where houses they're flying off the roof. I mean, home sales, people paying $1 million over ask cash. What don't you hear? You don't hear people about black people selling their homes. Very little. Very little. Two reasons. Number one, the amount of blacks and Latinos and people of color that own homes has dropped tremendously. And the reason we don't hear from them, because it's not something that's dramatic. It's not something whereby we yell, ooh, this is a case of financially people putting their knee on our neck, brothers and sisters, and choking us out in terms of the future availability and ability to go out and buy these homes. I would guess some of the worst criminals who are not black can get out of prison, work a little while, and still be able to get a home. Whereby there are people who never have a criminal record, never did a day in jail or prison in their entire life. They worked their entire lives, brothers and sisters, saved their money. In the moment of truth, they can't secure a loan to buy a house. This is criminal. This makes sure that you, for lack of a better word, that they keep you in your place. That they keep you in a place, that we are somehow the disparity of wealth and access to wealth and the ability to take a small amount of wealth and change your condition. It's a big difference between uh, the Evans family and the Fresh Prince family. Think about that. And where do we fall in between? Big difference between the Jeffersons moving on up to a deluxe apartment in the sky. When I got older, I said, I hope they own that apartment. I hope they own that condo. I always felt like Uncle Phil on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they own that house. But when you watch and look around, brothers and sisters, there's a question now. There's a question. Where do we go for a crime that's as extensive as this, but has no face? It has no name. It's a crime of the past, present, and potentially the future. And we're, for lack of a better word, we're stuck watching it happen. You can sell your house for a nice profit, brothers and sisters, but chances are you won't be able to buy another house because you probably won't be able to get a loan, even though you have cash in hand. And, as we talk about it now, of course, everybody's going, well, that's everybody and new homeowners and stuff like that. So you have people who are not Black having problems, not getting loans, but getting, being able to put out a respectable bid on a house. But we're talking about we can't even get to the bid. Pre-qualifications are probably notoriously low. Listen, my aunt used to have a mortgage company. Her name is, she owns BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Back when she was working, they had these things called no-doc loans. Or for better, to be more specific, ninja loans. Ninja sounds like, you know what it sounds like. But they had ninja loans. Ninja stands for no income, no job, no assets. That's a ninja loan. No income, no jobs, no asset. And they put a lot of people in these subprime loans. They told them you can get a house. And it was not done to the best of these people's welfare. It wasn't done in their best interest. They knew that they were putting people in homes, and 9 times out of 10, they were going to default and lose the homes. So now you have a whole situation scenario whereby you have failed minority home ownership. And those people who got those loans, all they want to do is have a house. And it's unsavory, and I'm going to say it. It stinks, it sucks. But the numbers, brothers and sisters, the algorithms that they came up with to make sure that these people didn't have their homes crashed a generation of potential homeowners. So my mom says, since it's designed to keep Blacks in their place, we are falling behind further because of less home ownership. You're correct. My mother used to be a realtor, by the way. So I trust her words implicitly. But now, brothers and sisters, we have youth who are growing up that have seen a stagnation in minority home ownership. And you know what they don't think about? Homes. They think about places to live, but they don't think about places to own. And this fundamental shift is crazy because you're talking about a huge reposition of generational wealth. JT, my brother, we've talked about this before. And again, JT, thank you so much for sending me the video. And if you want to watch that video, brothers and sisters, go to YouTube. It's under Elizabeth Warren on HMDA data, HMDA data. That means, you know what it means. Home ownership, home mortgage. I keep forgetting. I keep forgetting. Satana, I keep forgetting. I'm sorry. But look up HMDA because it's so important. You can just put it in the letters HMDA, home mortgage distributorship analysis, something like that. But I'm killing the name. But my point is this. Okay, thank you so much. Go ahead and put that up. Satana. Somebody put that up. Elizabeth Warren or Hamda. Take a look at the whole speech. The whole speech is not more than 10 minutes. But the things that should shock you is in Massachusetts. In Massachusetts, the numbers are shocking. And just the idea of that a family's wealth, a white family's wealth, average mean is $248,000, and a black family's mean accrued wealth is $8. Disclosure Act, thank you, Home Mortgage Disclosure Act. But it's $8, and we're talking about Boston, Massachusetts. You know, as it goes further down south and these areas where people have really had to struggle to get homes, it can only get worse. And what are we leaving for our generations behind us? Something to think about. I'm going to bounce. Remember, check out Hamda. Again, Home Mortgage. I always forget it. Home Mortgage Disclosure Act. Satana, you know what I'm saying. I keep thinking, you know what I'm thinking. And also check out ECOR, Equal Credit Opportunity Act. They are bookends, brothers and sisters. So as I close this out, I did not. If I scared you, good. I meant to scare you. Wake up. That was the actual intent of this show. We have been sleeping. We've misled. We've been distracted. You know, the moment you wake up and you are not going to have your house, or you're not going to have the ability to get in your house, these things are deadly. Okay? You know, where you live indicates how you think in some regards. Now, if you want to stay there, that's one thing. But if you're forced to stay there, that's something totally different. And that gets out of the scope and the framework of being able to have economic and spiritual mobility to go different places. Think about that, brothers and sisters. And I hope one of you rappers out there that comes up with a platinum selling record about home ownership. That's my challenge. So listen, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have been great. Stay blessed. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before we get out, shout out. This is why, you know, this is our sponsor right here. You need to check our sponsor out. BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. You can call 1-888-496-6845. Again, that's 1-888-496-6845. Why? Because these are the things you're talking about with your finances. Talk to somebody who knows about how to get a house, how to save for a house, how to get pre-qualified for a loan for a house, how to save your wealth, retain your wealth. Talk to somebody. Don't sit there talking to yourself, being in the corner, worried about, I got $1, I'm going to hold on to. You need to take $1, have the courage to say, how do I take this $1 and make it 10? Get in the game, brothers and sisters. And again, all my brothers and sisters, you know, I love you. But if you're in an apartment, you've been there 5-10 years, you got to go. Get it. Stop giving those people your money. If you get a house and it's got 2 rooms in it, doggone it, you own it. Get into owning your masters. All right. Shout out also to Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Again, that's Bayan Islamic Graduate School. If you're thinking about getting a quality Islamic graduate school experience at the graduate level and the doctoral level, you want to check out bayanonline.org. Again, that's bayanonline.org. Listen, brothers and sisters, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your patience, because I kept forgetting what the D meant and Hamda. Forgive me. But other than that, think about what we talked about. I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Preacher Moss, the SOS. Yo, assalamu alaikum. I'm Preacher Moss, comedian extraordinaire, but I like to add a new title to my name. I'm Professor Preacher Moss. You know why? Because I just graduated. Wait a minute, let me get this out of here. This is it. Okay. I'm Professor Preacher Moss, and it's come through the courtesy and the blessing of the Muhammad Ali Scholarship, which came through Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Now, listen, I know a lot of you people are thinking, can I do it? Yes, you can do it. This is the part where I know I'm supposed to say it's easy. It's not easy. Listen, it was easy to get this degree. Trump would be a mufti. I digress. Listen, though, for you brothers and sisters that are interested, go to bayanonline.org and you could be like me. Put yourself in the picture for Islamic education. Wait a minute, there's a picture right there. Sound like them, everybody. Take care. Preach them off.